Oh yeah, she's that country girl who overcame the stigma that Southern women are barefoot, backwoods, and backwards. Now she's an articulate voice for conservative values and wisdom in America. Sitting on her front porch sharing common sense, here's Marnie.
Hi, welcome back to my front porch where we talk about common sense principles in America. Today I'd like to talk about something that happened in June of 1972. 5 men broke into the DNC headquarters in the Watergate building. And after that, the President of the United States, Richard Nixon, covered up what they did. And they found that some slush funds from the Nixon campaign helped to pay for this break-in, the money that was found on these individuals. And subsequently, Nixon was put through hearings and things and found guilty of certain crimes of association in this illegal search and seizure and invading the privacy of other people and breaking in breaking and entering. And so he stepped down. He resigned. Okay, today we have a situation where the Clinton campaign paid for a fake dossier to be made on then candidate Donald J. Trump. And that dossier was then submitted to the FBI, and the FBI knowingly knew that there was no substantive proof for this dossier. The subsource admitted that it was invalid and bar talk and nothing of any real substance, but yet they used it to go to a FISA court and get approval to spy on the Trump campaign, to use the FBI resources and the different intelligence resources in this country to spy on a political opponent. This whole dossier and everything has ties back to the Ukraine, and in asking the Ukrainian president to investigate this corruption that was going on in the Ukraine, following the iceberg tip of Biden admitting that he forced the former Ukrainian government to get rid of the prosecutor who was investigating all of the corruption between the U.S. and the Ukraine, and the money that had disappeared and made its way into the hands of the individual who owned the company that Biden's son worked for, and had that man fired within 6 hours or he wouldn't receive the $1.6 billion that the government had appropriated to the Ukraine. So President Trump asked for this to be investigated, and now suddenly President Trump is being impeached by the very people, the DNC, who so elaborately constructed this investigation through the FISA court to spy on President Trump. So we have the victim of the crime is being impeached. That's unconstitutional for the government to use these invasive measures to spy on American citizens, and yet they did it knowingly with a corrupt report that was paid for by Hillary Clinton and the Clinton campaign. So we have the victim actually is the one being impeached here. That's what we're dealing with. I mean, if you really want to get it all down here, what the DNC and the Clintons and the Democrats are doing is basically taking the very same tactic that Nixon's people did. Nixon basically taped. He taped what went on in the DNC. You know, he wiretapped, right? He had these men break in and put tapes in, and he paid for that and covered it up. Okay, well, they have basically done the same thing to Trump's campaign, yet they went a step further. They went and falsified and used false information with the courts to use the FBI, government dollars, government appropriated dollars. At least Nixon used his own campaign dollars to do this. They used the American taxpayers' money to get the intelligence community and the FBI to go and falsely investigate on false premises investigate and spy on a U.S. citizen. They've done way worse than Nixon did. And Nixon had to step down. It was such a scandal. And yet they're doing the very same thing. They did the very same thing. And then when President Trump tries to investigate what was going on, suddenly he's the bad dog. He's the one that they want to throw in prison for asking that this Ukrainian president check things out on his side of it where all the corruption took place. The hypocrisy is just mind-boggling. I can't even understand how some American citizens do not even get this, other than that they watch only news sources that are controlled by that side of the aisle. Okay, you may not agree with me. Maybe you believe the Democrat side of it. Okay, I have something that I would ask every American to do. Let's take the people and the parties out of it for a moment. Let's call upon the God of this land to remove the corruption from our government. You don't need to name names. If you think it's the president, fine. If you think it's the Democrats, fine. You don't need to name names. All you need to do is say, Heavenly Father, will you please remove the corruption from our government and let him sift the wheat from the tares. He can do it better than we can, because frankly there is no way of knowing who's good and who's bad, although it's getting really clear on who's on what side or the other. The people are identifying themselves pretty clearly with a vote on this subject. Maybe we don't know everything, but God does. And God knows who the crooks are, and he knows who the traitors are, and he knows who the patriots are. And let's just pray for him to protect the patriots and remove the traitors. That's my request of you today, that we actively, those of us who believe in God, just ask for this to happen and let God sift the wheat from the tares. Y'all take care. God bless, and God bless America.